Oh,
Hey, we're live.
hey. Oh, okay. Hey, guys.
Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 336, your once-week live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are run in the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel, although an even better way to help support the channel, head on over to craftcomputing.store, pick up a pint glass, a coaster, a set of whiskey stones, and start drinking like a pro. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there.
I forgot to adjust all my screens.
It's okay. I'm actually having a little bit of server problems this week, which has been really interesting to navigate. So I don't know if it's the controller, my HBA, the cables, or some of the drives themselves, or it could even be the backplane of my main file server. And of course, it's the big array in my main file server. It's the 720 terabyte drive array. For last couple of months, maybe started about 6 months ago, I came down one morning and my drives were offline. I went, well, that's not good. And I went and checked TrueNAS and it went, 4 of your 7 drives have errors. I went, that's not likely.
Yeah.
It's not likely that I went from 0 to catastrophic cascading failure. It does happen. But it doesn't happen. Like if you catch
what'd you download, Jeff?
No. So it was already trying to resilver my drives, and I went, I don't think that's a good idea. And so I stopped the resilver. I went in and it said, oh, well, 4 of your drives reported errors and 3 of them are offline. And I went, probably not. But looked it up, and yeah, the drives were nowhere to be found. So I went out to the server, and I rebooted the server, and it came back up, and the drives weren't there still, but the drives were spinning up. I could put a screwdriver to my ear and hear the individual disks spin up.
Mm-hmm.
So I reseated cables, and hey, the drives came back on and no errors. And so I just cleared the errors, and I moved on with my life. And it's done that like 3 times. And then this time, it did the same thing, only it ejected one disk entirely and tried to resilver a RAID Z2 with only 6 of the disks there. So I went out and I reseated all the drives, and then I came back inside the house, and it said, you have 7 disks that are not part of any arrays. Would you like to add them to an array? And I went, no, I would not. This is why you keep good backups. I have perfect backups. My backups are valid. I also sling, so I have almost an entire 3-2-1 backup system. I have 2 copies, both, so you can consider, I have the physical copy of my data in my RAID Z2. That also has snapshots enabled. Now, snapshots is not in and of itself a backup, because if your array goes away, so does your snapshot. So does your RAID. Yeah. Snapshots is not a backup. RAID is not a backup. But snapshots does give me some back in time ability on the array in case I delete a file or something like that. So it is partially a backup. That array backs up to another array on my HL15 server, which is just filled with like all of my old 6 terabyte disks. I took 15 6 terabyte disks and I dropped them in there. And so that's my backup system. And so that has a backup copy, and then that also has snapshots enabled. So I can do an all-at-once backup, or I can do an incremental, and it goes back like 8 months or something like that in snapshots. And so I can go back and I can recover from that. And all that data is there. All that data is fine. I also take incremental copies of all the data that gets written to that, and that gets slung up to Google Drive. Just my like super important cannot live without stuff.
Family photos, stuff like that.
Family photos, the original renders of my videos that I export. It's the highest quality render that exists of the videos, and so I do keep those. I do keep pretty much all the B-roll that I shoot, just in case. And I have gone back and used B-roll from like 2 years prior, and it's like, oh, I can pull up the original shots, and that's really cool. I don't keep A-roll. I think that's stupid. But it's still, 80 to 100 terabytes of what all that is. No, probably more than that. Or no, sorry, not terabytes. Good Lord. It's 1 to 2 terabytes of data is what all my rendered videos are. And so it's still a good amount of data. But anyway, I thought I had everything, at least with 2 copies here. And while the backup does exist, apparently my Talking Heads directory is not part of any of my backup plans. So all of my templates, this fancy border that's around us. So I booted up OBS today and it's gone. And I went, oh, I'll just load the backup copy. And I went to the backup folder and the Talking Heads folder isn't there. And I went to Google Drive and the Talking Heads folder isn't there. And I went, oh God, if I'm going to lose something, it's going to be this.
Yeah.
So luckily I had another copy in another place, pulled it up, but that was like 10 minutes before we went to, I just sat down to start the show and went, oh, right, that drive is offline right now. So it's been a fun day. It's been an interesting day. How's your day been, John?
My month has been crazy. It's been awesome, super fun. I took let's see, did I go to Florida yet? The first time?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I had a 48
what day is it?
Hour. Yeah, I had when was that? Now that I think about it, but I had a 48-hour trip to Florida. There and back.
Yep.
That was fun. Then my boss got sick again, and he had to be in the hospital for a couple days. That was fun. Yeah. So it's just you're in the office and you're the only IT guy, so that's always fun. And then my nephew is getting married at my farm, and so every waking moment of free time has been spent yard work over there.
Yeah.
And then it's springtime now, so yard work here needs to be done, and also ending of school, so have all of these kid programs for my son's school have to go to. So it's just go. Oh, I'm home now. Oh man, I gotta go to bed. All right, let's go to bed. Okay.
Do I have to go to bed? Wait, what time zone is it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what my plan in Florida was. I stay up late, like it is West Coast time, and I'll just wake up early, so I'll keep it. I walked from the airport to the hotel and the business because it was only about a mile away. So I was like, I'll just walk it. And it's Florida at 10 p.m. And I walk out within that mile. I'm just drenched in sweat. It's like, oh, this stinks. That was a dumb idea. But, still fun. But it's just been nonstop ever since the last episode. Even before that, it's still been going. It's just, I got 3 more weeks. No, the June 22nd is the wedding. Okay. Oh, and I can't take time off for that because my
because your boss is out.
He's gonna be in Hawaii because his son is gone, or his son's soccer team is national championship they're playing for.
Likely story. We have to go to Hawaii for my son.
Happened to be for Hawaii for 10 days. And he's like, well, I'm the ball manager, so I have to go. It's like, whatever, ball boy. So, and it just happens to be the same week of this wedding, so I can't take any time off for this wedding. So it's just, I haven't been able to edit any videos or anything. Every time, and then the one I did have, which was actually from a Patreon of yours, I didn't hit the audio lapel. I left it off. So no audio recorded.
Oh no.
I gotta shoot this all over again. Unfortunately, by the time I realized that, I already tore half my studio apart. So it's like, so much fun. But yeah, no server crashes.
Well,
so
good.
That was fun.
That's
I mean,
good.
I had to redo a whole. Oh yeah, I did talk to you. I was just about to leave because I was talking to you that day. The last time I left like 2 days late after that for Florida because I had to reset a whole entire office. And okay. I don't think I told you this. They were so bad and wondering what was going on there. They couldn't find a Wi-Fi. Someone stole our Wi-Fi port, and one day basically just vanished. And they're like, "Oh, we don't know where our Wi-Fi is." So they decided to hop on a local office building free Wi-Fi, which a bunch of other companies were hooked up to. Which then they hooked to their printers and all their computers and our firewall. And our firewall was just going insane of like, what is all of this traffic?
Yeah, no kidding.
And that's essentially what was slowing them down. And so, but the weird thing was that this Wi-Fi was being hosted in our building and in our own server room, but we weren't paying for it. Mm-hmm. So we just took it over and redid everything. Like there was a bunch of saved DNSs in there. I think there's over 44 pre-saved DNSs for people to boot into that box.
Oh, wow.
So cleared all that, rechanged everything, all the security protocols, and they just took over this Wi-Fi. Cleaned it up, but then we blocked everyone from even accessing Wi-Fi. They complained so much. I guess they called me a crackhead and a person who just a loser and idiot, doesn't know what he's doing because we blocked them.
The usual stuff.
The usual IT stuff.
Yeah.
None of their computers they were all signed in as admins, is why. Every single individual had their own username and an old admin. So they were able to install whatever they want. Well, we took that away, and I disabled all of their Wi-Fi to hook up to other devices and other networks to download stuff behind our network and our firewall. Mm-hmm. So they got they complained so much they went and bought their own Chromebooks and put them onto their own hotspots so they would work on part of their computer and part of our computer because they were that pissed off. They needed their Chrome extensions for their illegal Gmail spamming schemes.
Yeah.
And so 2 of them ended up quitting because they were like, this is too much work. It's like, well, this is what happens when you're pushing to be legit. Or, you know, you have to weed out the unlegit people.
Right.
So, fun times. That was fun. Anyways, beer.
Yes, beer. I just realized it's been a couple years since I've had this beer. Like, I talk about it all the time, and it's a fantastic beer. But I went, when was the last time I actually had one of these? And I saw it in the store, and so I snagged it. Vortex.
Oh!
Fort George Vortex IPA.
I have my other beer is a Fort George. It's not Vortex, but it is Fort George.
Yeah. Fantastic IPA. One of the Northwest's best IPA. It's crystal freaking clear, except for my nucleation absolutely doing work in there. And it's just delicious. And it's one of those beers that you see all the time in the store, and you're like, I know what Vortex tastes like. Let me try something else. And then you forget how good it is.
Well, I have...
what a perfect springtime beer.
My Fort George the can was a little warm, so I popped it in my fridge. Hopefully it'll cool off in a little bit. So I'm having Parrish's Ghost Prime.
Oh, yeah.
So, hazy IPA. Parrish always does good stuff. This one not as clear as yours, but yeah.
Oh, I feel better now.
I always feel better after the first sip of beer.
Yeah, you were starting to stress me out, and I feel better now, so thank you. Anyway, not a lot going on here today. Just a normal Wednesday with no big announcements or, any. You might have heard a little something about this little guy that I'm putting out.
Yeah, I saw it.
So yeah, the video went out today. It is probably my most popular video of the year so far. It is doing numbers. Like as YouTubers, after 30 minutes of your video being live, you get a ranking of that video versus your last 10. And so we always strive for 1. We strive for 1 of 10.
Yeah.
If it's a 3, you take it. If it's a 7, you usually take it. You're not all that happy. If it's a 8 or a 9 or a 10, you tweak your thumbnail, you clickbait.
You do
title,
something different to adjust the algorithm.
Right, exactly. So I actually wasn't sure about what I wanted to call the video last night. And so I reached out to a bunch of YouTuber friends and colleagues and said, hey, I'm launching my product and I don't know what to do with it. And here's the thumbnail that I came up with. And I went, Raspberry Pi usually gets clicks, and this is a Raspberry Pi. It's a Raspberry Pi Pico and whatnot, so I'm not lying. And I said Raspberry Pi Pico put to work, because everyone always uses this as like a trinket or, hey, I made this cool little LED light.
Check out what you can do with
sensor.
this.
Yeah. I wanted to use this for actual work and put it in a server room and make it a professional product. And so I went, that's kind of a fun title. Let's go with that. So I made the thumbnail and posted it up, and all my YouTuber friends went, that's really cool, but I would go with the classic, I made this with the giant YouTube red arrow. I went, I don't want to do that. That just seems...
Yeah, it's very... Everyone. You see that everywhere.
I hate doing that. It feels cheap. It does. Video went live 30 minutes in. It's a 6 of 10. And I went, I need this video to pop. And so I went in and adjusted the title. I adjusted the thumbnail, made it a little less busy, blew up the Raspberry Pi just a little bit, and I think I titled it something different. And it sat up there for like 20 minutes and it didn't move. And in that time that I was revamping the thumbnail, Jeff Geerling and Veronica Explains both jumped in and agreed with Raid Owl's assessment that, no, you need a YouTube red arrow. So I put the red arrow in. To the moon.
To the moon.
Instantaneous. So for those of you who complain about clicks and clickbait and thumbnails and everything, shut up. The results work, and no one was at all disappointed that they clicked on my video. They didn't click on the video and go, oh, this guy, he's lying to us about Raspberry Pis. No, it was a video about a Raspberry Pi project that I'm bringing to market and everything. No one cared until I put a big freaking red arrow on the thumbnail. And now it's a 1 of 10 that has doubled up my 2 of 10.
Well, what it is I guess it's I made this is like, oh, I already subscribed to this channel. Mm-hmm. And I like his stuff. What did he make? Mm-hmm. Instead of, oh, what did you test today? Right. Or what are you comparing to this? Versus, oh, and then making stuff. And then at the same time, too, I think people outside of your subscription like the word made, because they like seeing those videos where you make stuff and then you might see the quick montage of working hard or putting things together. There's so many things that could probably work with in an algorithm outside of your subscribers. For it to be hit. I mean, even I fall privy to, oh, whatever that thing is, it just looks interesting on the video. He made it. What does that do? Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
That's just like, it's the dumbest thing. You're like, oh, okay. I mean, heck, probably it's not my, what's funny is it's not my largest video, but it's my largest video for revenue by purchases of items. And it's the thing I make. It's my tap handle thing.
Yeah.
I've made hundreds of dollars off of that video. Now, I know that's nothing, but for my channel, hundreds of dollars of profit, multiple hundreds of dollars of profit is a lot.
I'm still thrilled with YouTube AdSense when my videos hit $200. My average video for AdSense sucks. I don't make money off AdSense. I mean, we love talking shop here. Full disclosure, I make about $1,200 from AdSense per month. $1,200 as a professional full-time YouTuber. YouTube ain't paying my rent. Ain't paying my car. YouTube barely affords my car payment. Like,
yeah, and you have a plaque.
I got a plaque. Yeah. If we continue the trend, I got like 3.5 of them at this point. I've got 340,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
YouTube ain't paying my mortgage.
No.
Yeah, it's all the other things that I do that pay my mortgage. Anyway, needed this video to pop. Pop it did. Took a little tweaking, but got it there. And so far, everyone is super interested, and I could not be more happy. We've sold 130 of them, so like 30% of my allotment of what I was going to do in this first run. We've sold 30% in the first 10 hours. I haven't checked in the last 2 hours, but 10 hours after the video posted, we were at 131, 133, something like that. Lots of people buying multiples, lots of people buying 2 at a time to test. I'm assuming front of rack and back of rack, or one on your server rack and one in a hallway, one in a room, something like that. Super, super exciting. I am going to do a follow-up video where I go through a lot of the questions and comments in the comment section that I got on that video. Address some of the concerns, address any questions, or any, clarify any future plans. I know a couple things that I said were maybe misinterpreted slightly. I said I'm not going to seek any regulatory approval for this, and what I meant by that was I'm not going to approach the FDA and say, hey, I want this to be accurate for use in medical devices. I'm not going to do that. I am going to make sure it is CEUL everything compliant and make sure I have a stamp so I can sell it in the EU. Like, it is going to be legal to buy and sell. It's just not going to be government certified for oversight. How's that? Yeah. But super exciting. Very good day. Very good launch. Very happy with the results so far. And tomorrow, I would have sent these out last week, but my packing material got delayed. Tomorrow, we are actually shipping out a bunch of review units to start getting impressions from people in the community. So, why not ESP32? I'm going to talk about that, because I've actually got some reasons there. What about the name? Well, apparently, what is it? Fractal Audio is going to sue me, and Axe Body Spray is going to sue me, and everything. Maybe? I will tell you the name was 100% randomly generated. Axe Effect. And it's not like those two companies were the first to come up with Axe and Effect and put them together either. They just have products out there, and I don't think anyone's going to construe a smart thermometer with deodorant or a guitar amplifier. But Axe Effect is also not the final name of this product. I just needed a product name so we could organize it and everything else, so my developer could keep straight what he was working on. So we named it Axe Effect, and then it ended up looking like a little guitar, and I went, that's just serendipitous. And so I just kind of kept it. So if you have any name suggestions, sure.
Axe Body Spray Effect. That one will definitely be fine.
Right.
Yeah, you'll be fine there. No problem.
They're not litigious at all.
Now what you I wonder if you could make a B-roll for your own product, but have it making fun of Axe Body Spray commercials. Those old early 2000s ones where they spray it and the girls just like rip all the guys' clothes off.
I should totally do a parody commercial where
yeah, something that would be fun.
Could I use It's Getting Hot in Here in the background?
Oh, there you go. Oh, but you just have a bunch of server engineers then be like, oh my gosh, Jeff!
Combination of Office Space and an Axe Effect commercial. Yeah. It's getting hot in here.
I think that song's perfectly fine. I bet that license for that song was really cheap now.
Really cheap, right? Oh.
Also, we could probably just get like what is that, AI pseudo or whatever, the music generator will probably do some knockoff version that's good enough that would be free.
Exactly. Michael chimes in with 10 Aussie bucks. Thank you so much, Michael. Although I feel like you've given me enough money the last couple of days, but it's still extremely appreciated. Can't wait for my order and the ZWS testing. So Michael ordered 8 of them? I think 8 in total. So he's in Australia, so obviously shipping is an issue. Well, they're small enough, and Postal Service offers flat rate boxes internationally. Well, for a padded envelope, it's like $36 or something like that to Australia. Or you can get a small flat rate box. And I can fit like 8 of these in a small flat rate box, and that's $52. So, yeah, he just bought a box. so thank you. For a while, because patrons got notified 24 hours early on the release and the website availability. And for a while, Michael had 50% of all allotments on the planet. He had 8 of them when I had sold 16 total, which was awesome. And ZWS is referring to, of course, Yocto's web services, Zach's web services, where we already do have an Axe Effect unit deployed. I screwed that one into the rack myself, so that should be fun. Shipping is an issue anywhere not in North America. Yeah, Canada. I think I got like $17 shipping or something like that. It's expensive if you need 1. It's way more reasonable if you need 2, and it's even more reasonable if you need 10. Because again, I can fit a whole bunch of these into a flat rate box and get them out. Terrapup feels bad because he compared me to Axe Body Spray. No, you and a whole bunch of other people, and some people were funny about it. Other people just went, "You're gonna get sued," and I hope they take you for every penny you own because capitalism, right? Yeah. Again, as if I was in a competing market launching a product. No, it's a random name generator, like easy. Okay, at worst, I'm gonna get a cease and desist.
Yeah. Exactly.
For my beta product name.
Now, is the name even posted on or like lasered on the product itself?
It is silk screened onto the PCB. That's the only place the name actually exists. We needed a name for the PCB, so it's silk screened on the PCB. That's it.
So, if anything, those will become collector's editions.
Right. And again, it was never really going to be my final product name either. Jeff could have named it Cold Blow? Colon Blow. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, the YouTube emoji icon was hiding the... Colon Blow. No, I prefer AM Ale, if I'm going to go with an old SNL sketch. AM Ale. It's way better than Colon Blow. ETA for the PoE? Q4. We will have news in Q4. Hopefully be taking orders in Q4. The final Wi-Fi version, I want to deliver in Q4, and I want to be able to take orders for the PoE version in Q4, with a potential late Q4, early Q1 availability, like shipping availability. The cool thing is, working with PCBWay, hashtag not sponsored on this one, but they did sponsor the build video, and I'm working with them behind the scenes on some things. They have capacity for basically as much as I want to build. And so if this goes from like, hey, I need 100 to, hey, I need 10,000, they go, okay. So when I'm ready to pull the trigger on the retail version, and once we've gone through validation and bug fixing and anything like that, we can ramp production as fast as we want. So...
Cool.
So yeah, I don't want to dominate the whole show with Axe Effect. So we do have some news to get to. Consider that the sponsored section of the show, where I'm talking about a product that you should definitely go buy at craftcomputing.com. And before we even launched officially, I'm treating these as, we are still under the same company umbrella. We're all still Craft Computing LLC. Devices may eventually spin off into their own business, and devices have craftcomputing.com. Also, because I need to charge for shipping for Axe Effect, because shipping is not built into the retail price, especially globally. My costs are significantly higher than they are for merch, where merch shipping is kind of built into my profit margins. It's not for Axe Effect. And the way my merchant store works is I can't exclude one product from my shipping policy. So Axe Effect had to be on its own store so I could charge for shipping. Otherwise, it would fall under my default free shipping for North America and $12 global. I can't afford $12 global shipping if it ends up being $38 to ship to Australia. I just lost money sending you a product.
Yep. Yep.
So, it is what it is. If this gets into like the multi-thousands of people that are ordering, I will certainly look at regional distribution, whether that's Amazon, whether that's a reseller, whether that's, hooking up with, Pimaroni or Adafruit or someone else with, regional and global distribution, whether that's shipping direct from PCBWay, whether that's a whole bunch of other things. Like, in theory, I could have PCBWay manufacture PCB assembly, make the case, assemble it, put it in a retail box, and ship it direct from factory. If we ended up going, down that route with all of those processes with them. I could totally probably have them just drop ship directly, and that's what I'm going to do for bulk orders anyway. But right now, they're all coming to me, especially the early samples, because I need to validate that each one works. I don't want to send out a bad product. And so each one's getting individually flashed literally by me. They're being screwed into each case manually by me. They're being boxed up with care and, spoken words of encouragement before I close the lid on them.
Everyone has a special whispered message for each individual one.
Yeah. I so need Ryan Reynolds to redo his Aviation Gin commercial, but with Axe Effect. If you remember when he took over Aviation Gin, he did a whole artisan commercial of each morning the juniper berries are blessed by the count of blah 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 and spoken words of encouragement in the morning, and he has some of his employees going like. I should totally just rip off that and do my own version.
Well, he didn't like your other commercial, so.
No, the ad agency didn't. In fact, I think next month I'm just going to publish that ad. I think I'm just going to do a special video on the second channel. I'm going to throw it up on Craft Extra and go, hey, I've never been rejected for an ad before, but I was for this one, and here's the ad. Enjoy.
There you go.
I've thought about that multiple times. I think I'm just going to put it up on the second channel and see what happens. Yeah, Michael says the shipping for 5 was $180. Which is weird because I had looked at the flat rate packaging, but I don't think it had added it to the website or given you it as an option. There's a whole bunch of if this then that things when it comes to shipping. How many packages or how many units can you fit into a box, and how many boxes can you fit into a shipping unit, and how many shipping units can hold so many, and what is the weight, and what is the max weight and max unit capacity of said shipping box. I spun up the web store in 24 hours to be able to prepare for the launch, and so yeah, but it ended up working. Mass Effect Commander Shepard Edition, yeah. I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite temperature sensor on the Citadel. But yeah, it all worked out. By the way, if you want to test in bulk, email business@craftcomputing.net. Get in touch with me. If you have hey, we might deploy 1,000 of these. Give me a ring. I'll talk to you. Be happy to talk to you. I have 25 units on hand that are just for review and industry samples. I think only 12 of them were allocated, and so I have like 15 left. 13, 10, something like that left. If you have an industry, if you have a need, if you have a boss you need to convince where you might buy 100 of them and you want a sample, let me know. Because I kind of want to get my name out there. I kind of want this to be good. Zach says I need more. How many more do you need, Zach? I gave you 2. How many more do you need? Call now. Our operators are standing by. Shipping logistics. Shudder. Craft Computing LLC. Digital advertising and logistics. Son of a...
You can get drunk while this monitors your server temperature. Don't worry about it.
Right? And I told you how good Vortex is.
Yeah, it's good.
Right?
We've also been going for 42 minutes.
I didn't pour the beer until 20.
Well, I mean, if it takes us 40 minutes, another 20 minutes to finish this beer, we're doing something wrong. All right, you want to get to some news?
Yeah, let's get to some news.
Some news. You pick.
Let's go a little right to repair first.
All right.
So one of the title stories is Right to Repair Wins and Losses. And I think we'll start with some negative and then we'll round out with some positive. So iFixIt, just a couple of days ago, announced that they are ceasing their partnership with Samsung. Now, when this was initially announced, I think it's been almost 2 years. It's been a while that iFixIt and Samsung have partnered up. If you're not familiar, iFixIt and Samsung partnered up on basically making Samsung phone parts available to anyone for any reason to repair phones. If you had a Samsung phone, you need a new ribbon cable, you need a battery, you need a main board, you need a camera, you need a flash module, you need a SIM card tray. Yeah, we'll sell you any part you want. Here's our full catalog of Samsung parts. And at the time, I was very enthusiastic and cautiously optimistic of the partnership. But I did say, I hope they're not doing the same thing that Apple likes to do, which is saying we are totally behind right to repair and the rights of our users to repair things. And we'll totally sell you something as long as you have that exact phone and you're not a repair shop and you fall under our guidelines and you actually can order the things correctly and you know what you're doing. And we need to know you know what you're doing so you don't potentially damage a phone. Like we couldn't have the liability of you accidentally damaging a phone by repairing it. That would be terrible. Oh, goodness, you can't qualify as a Samsung repair technician? Ooh, boy, I can't in good conscience send you that part. Like, you could never install a ribbon cable by yourself. That's too finicky for average human hands.
Yes.
We prefer 11-year-old children to put those together.
Well, the tiny hands, that's why.
Tiny hands, right, exactly. So I was encouraged but cautiously optimistic about the partnership. And said, I hope Samsung isn't using this as a means to justify why it's a terrible idea. And as it turns out, Samsung was using this to justify why it's the means to a terrible idea. iFixIt has some pretty direct and blatant language in their quotes around this. Scott Head of iFixIt says, as we tried to build this ecosystem, we constantly faced obstacles that made us doubt Samsung's commitment to making repair more accessible. We couldn't get parts to local repair shops at prices and quantities that made business sense, which means Samsung was pricing their repair business out of business intentionally. The part prices were so costly that many consumers opted to replace devices rather than repair them. See $500 screens for a $400 phone. Sound familiar? And the design of Samsung's Galaxy devices remained frustratingly glued together, forcing us to sell batteries and screens in pre-glued bundles that increased cost.
Yeah, I know. When you're spending like $233 for the screen and it comes with all these extra parts, and then you have to heat gun ray it and you could ruin all these other parts. It's ridiculous.
Yep. And
you're only using part of the parts you're even buying, and then you have to charge the customer so much more. Yeah, exactly. Yep. What you said. They're price gouging the repair shops out.
Yep. As Framework has proved, you can make a repairable device in 2024. You can make a device with repairability and easy assembly and easy disassembly in mind in 2024. You can build literally class-leading microelectronics in 2024 that can be assembled by someone with sausage fingers. It's not that hard. The Cybertruck was really hard, apparently, but the laptops are not so hard. There's nothing obscure about the size of Samsung's phones. I used to repair phone batteries and screens all the time. Nothing has changed in the size of the electronics since 2008. Maybe 2009, 2008. As far as phones. The processors and motherboards are the same size they were 16 years ago. Nothing has changed fundamentally about the size of smartphones. Apple introduced the iPhone, and since the iPhone, that's been the size and the shape and the form factor of phones. And they're not that hard to disassemble. And they're not that hard to get that thin. And they're not that hard to put standardized screws and ribbon cables and not glue the whole goddamn thing together. Those are anti-repair tactics.
Most of the time, it's actually the electronics are shrinking, and what they're doing is the battery's the thing that's expanding, and then and the screen. But the internal electronics are either the same size or sometimes not like microscopic, but just slightly different sizes, or you can get a more powerful processor now 10, 15 years down the line, and it'd be technically a little bit smaller. But we're not talking like, I'm going to need a magnifying glass and the tiniest of tools and surgical gloves. You know, your SD card, your SIM card are still the same size. So that's going to stay the same. Your cameras actually have gotten bigger. Your heatsink is basically the back of your phone. So
okay, you ready for this? Samsung Galaxy 4 Fold, iPhone 4.
Yeah.
There's no internal or assembly difference between an iPhone 4, which was like an 8 out of 10 for repairability on iFixIt. It was 2 pentalobe screws in the bottom, which kind of pissed people off because it's like, I have to buy a special bit now? It was 2 screws in the bottom. The back panel lifted off. The battery lifted completely out with a single ribbon cable. And the board was held in by like 12 screws. It wasn't glued together. The screen wasn't laminated. Nothing was fundamentally different between the iPhone 4, right here, and Samsung's flagship Galaxy Fold. There's nothing electronically fundamentally different as far as size or compactness, or what is different is the amount of glue and epoxy inside this one. That's the only difference.
Well, what that gets you is the water resistance, but then when you repair something, that water resistance could go away.
Water resistance is an excuse and a marketing tactic.
Yeah.
You can water resist a lot of different things with
airspray.
I was gonna say a hydrophobic coating. You can conformal coat everything inside of that except for the motor and the camera, and it'll still work just fine. You could apply a hydrophobic coating to the to the casing itself. Would it be IP67 rated? No, it'd probably be IP65, so splash resistant. The epoxy is a really, really effective waterproofing because you've sealed it. They don't give a crap if you break it. Yeah. They really don't. They were going to void the warranty anyway. Even if you did drop it in water, it's like, there's a chance it survived because it's IP67 rated. We're not going to warranty it because we only said it was water resistant. You're the idiot that dropped it in water.
Yep.
So what's the point? The point is, we don't have to repair it now. And neither can you.
Oh, I know. Like, if you sent it in and then there was even a sign of moisture damage, you're like, oh, no, voided warranty, sorry.
Yep. What's the first thing that every genius at the Genius Bar does? He grabs his little microscope and he looks in the, oh wait, they don't have those anymore, the headphone jacks. He looks in the he looks in the charging port and goes, oh, sorry, this has been exposed to moisture. Yeah, I'm a human being. I'm 75% water. It's been in my pocket. Guess what? Condensation's a thing.
I've spit in it just from talking.
Yeah. To which I always say, prove it.
Yeah. Or I keep it in my bathroom as I'm listening to music for shower, and there's just steam. So sorry.
The thing about the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act that is always overlooked, and there's a couple things about it, actually. So for those who don't know, the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act is an act that was established like 1958. I think it's been a long time. About how manufacturers have to warranty their equipment. And the onus of proof to reject a warranty is on the manufacturer. If they say, this looks like it's been dropped, you say, prove it. They actually have to prove that it sustained damage that could only be inflicted by you dropping it. If they say, oh, this has water damage, prove it was submerged. And guess what? The little reactive sticker isn't enough because that can be set off by high humidity environments. It doesn't prove it was submerged. Prove I dropped it in water.
Yeah.
Prove that the water is what caused the damage or what caused the fault. It's the same thing in the auto industry, although the auto industry is under a much more scrupulous eye of, you can go and get your tires fitted with whatever tire you want. The manufacturer no longer has to warranty the tire. If you get tires that are oversized or undersized, they no longer have to warranty the suspension. But if your drive shaft decides to yeet itself from the car, that is in no way related to you changed the tires.
Yeah.
If your AC compressor blows up and catches fire under the hood, that's in no way related to I installed a sunshade. Like, there are some things that may void a partial warranty or say, hey, you installed this, you installed a catback exhaust because you wanted that vroom vroom sound. We can no longer warranty the exhaust system. That's not going to cause a cylinder misfire, though. Like, there are things that have cause and reaction causality. And if you can't prove that it caused it, you still have to warranty it. Part of the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act.
Michael, did you spill your drink on this keyboard?
Nope, it's still there. It's delicious. Believe it or not, straight to jail. I sweat, excuse the F out of me for being a human. It is... I can tell you the exact temperature in this room right now. It is 24 degrees Celsius. It's not that hot. I've said on the channel a couple times, I have Kevin James syndrome. I have, what are you, jumping rope in the attic? No, I peeled an orange like an hour ago. I sweat like crazy. I am a very, very sweaty man. Yeah, I sweat. Every moisture sensor on every phone I've ever kept has been tripped because it's been in my pocket. Guess what? That didn't cause my battery to fail 12 months premature. Like, big man equals more surface to sweat from. That's right. I am all of 6'4". I'm not even that big around, but there's still a lot of surface area here.
Well, there's some good news of Right to Repair.
There is some good news from Right to Repair. So this actually started with Oregon, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Woo! Look at us, right?
I know.
So there have been a lot of different Right to Repair legislation passing in the United States over the last couple of years. Started with Maryland and Massachusetts. California passed a Right to Repair bill, which all of the tech companies got behind, which should worry the absolute crap out of you. If they go, no, those terms sound fantastic. Something's wrong. Oregon passed a Right to Repair bill, which all the tech companies opposed, which means I'm immediately on board. We can't do that. Oh, because it might benefit the consumer in any ever so slight way. Oregon's Right to Repair included a prohibition on parts pairing. That is any method by the manufacturer to permanently link via software two components of a device, in which if one is removed, it cannot be replaced by the same component from another device. You cannot permanently link an encryption chip anymore to a camera or to a fingerprint sensor. You have to be able to reprogram it, and that has to be able to be done with reasonable accommodation by an end user. The reasonable accommodation might be taking it into an Apple store and saying, hey, I replaced the touch sensor on my iPhone, and I need you to repair it. Cool, $20 and we'll do that. I'd be fine with that.
Yep.
That's a totally legitimate thing. What I'm not fine with is I replaced the screen on my phone and now the Touch ID doesn't work. That's been happening since the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6 is old at this point. So parts pairing. That's what it comes down to. Are we back yet?
Oh. I thought it was me for a second.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're back. All right,
we're back.
Not the year of the Linux desktop after all. That's happened twice now, and this time I knew to wait it out. Huzzah! Well, cool. How are you all?
So, what's going on with you guys?
What's new with you? Cool. Tight.
Woo!
Cool. Woohoo! So that was the network card on my streaming PC, losing the plot entirely, and then turning back on. And
Big corporations cutting us off talking about Right to Repair. They knew. They're like, no, we got to cut this feed.
Google knew they were next, so they cut the cord before they... Yeah. So I think I know where to place the fault. This is on my 100 gig network card. I don't know if it's overheating during this, although it's only 5 meg, like you wouldn't think it would. I'm using NVENC, so my graphics card is like 4% utilized. I don't know. I don't know why this has happened twice now. Uh, 2024, Jeff does a video on why Linux sucks. Actually, I was just getting ready to do a video on literally my last month on Linux. It's been almost a month now. And I have stuck to this PC doing 80%, 80 to 90% of my work on this PC. There's a couple of things that have been really hard to give up. One of them is Photoshop. But you have GIMP.
Yeah, tools are not the same.
That's like saying, I need to build a house, and my drill is broken. Well, you have a flathead stubby screwdriver. That's the comparison you're making there. There's a lot of software that is caught up with Adobe as far as standardization goes. Audacity has well surpassed what Audition is. There's a whole bunch of other sampler and loop and audio editing programs that are as good, if not better, than Audition. I have switched my video editing completely over to DaVinci Resolve over the last 4 weeks.
Oh, really?
So the last 6 videos have been done on DaVinci Resolve. 100%.
I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
The workflow, it takes some adjustment.
Okay.
You're not just going to, unless all you do is make cuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the similarities end.
Okay.
If you do any kind of video transition, overlays, graphics, zooms, crops, cutaways, fades, opacity, it's a different workflow. I sat down for what should have been a 2-hour edit and came out 7 hours later going, I think it looks okay. It's a different workflow. It's a good program. It's a really good program. I like a lot of the features with it now.
Just took you 4 weeks to get there.
It took 4 weeks for me to approach 80% of the speed that I had before.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting there. And I think I will get there entirely, but it's about forgetting the way you used to do things with hotkeys and your presets and everything else, because we all have our own layouts of the keyboard and go, I hit this button, and then it makes all the magic happen. That magic is 12 different steps from the 19 different steps that were in Premiere. And so you have to relearn all of those steps and reshape your brain on how to actually assemble your video. And then you'll probably be 90% as fast after a month, and then slowly whittle away the rest of it. It's not better. It's not worse. It's $60 cheaper. So there's that. But yeah, it's different. But Linux, I have had some fantastic experience with Linux on this PC, and I've had some please put a bullet in my head so I can go back to Windows experiences with this PC. And so I'm in the midst of writing down all of my experiences, and one of them is my network card keeps resetting. And I don't know why. Could be that I'm on an 8-year-old X99 rig. Because that was the only Linux compatible desktop I had to deploy at the time. Because I wasn't sure this was going to be permanent. I think it's going to be permanent now, and so I think I'm actually going to reinvest in some good hardware in this. And I've got a 13900K that's just sitting over there right now. I think I'm going to turn that into my Linux desktop. But the problem is I have all this PCI Express that I need to use for this PC. So who knows? Yeah.
Well, it's 7 o'clock. I'm done with my beer.
I am done with my beer as well. I found a beer I've been looking for 8 months.
Woo! Oh, so it's not a Patreon scent. You found it.
It's not a Patreon scent. This is one that I've been looking for in a couple of my local bottle shops, including the big local bottle shop. And every time I go in there, it ain't there. It's been ticking me off. And then 5 o'clock today, I drove down to my local grocery store of all places. And I was just walking down the aisle because I'm like, I don't have a lot of standards that I can drink. Like, my fridge is again down to like 13.5%ers. And it's like, I can't down 3 of those tonight. Like, that's not going to work. So I just went down and went like, I just need a good like IPA. I need like a good 7%er. And this was like in the center. It was tucked back in the shelf, like a full row back. I'm like, is that a red box? I think that's a red box. And I grabbed it and I'm like, oh my God, I finally found it.
Out of the red.
Nope.
Oh, Dead Guy.
Dead guy,
yeah.
Imperial IPA.
Yeah.
I finally found the Imperial cans.
Yeah, those are great. Those are just like nice. It's a nice beer.
Right. I've been looking for it for 8 months and it's been nowhere to be found. Yeah. And I live closer to the coast than all you people.
I know. That's weird. That is weird.
I live 30 miles closer to the brewery, and I cannot find this beer. But John has had it, Steve has had it, Rhett has had it, and I'm like, where is this beer at?
Oh yeah, that's a nice beer. I like that beer. Yeah, it's a great Northwest. It's very more old school Imperial IPA.
Yeah,
but with a hint of citrusness.
Okay.
All right. Let me grab mine.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, this is Rogue's Dead Guy Ale, but made into an IPA. So Rogue has their Dead Guy Ale, which is quintessential classic craft beer. Yep. It's a fantastic brew. You can get it literally at any grocery store in the country. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what's weird. It's a my box, so it's not your typical type of beer. So
correct.
It's kind of It's very cool.
Right.
But it has an interesting yeast strain.
Yeah.
And that's what they use in that beer.
It's a little malty and a little spicy all at the same time, and it's just this real interesting beer. So they took the same yeast strain and they made an IPA with it. And so the Dead Guy Ale comes in a black can, and that's the Dead Guy Ale. They made the Dead Guy IPA, which is also a 7% IPA, and it comes in a green can and has the Dead Guy logo. Well, finally, they made an Imperial Dead Guy IPA, 9.6%. A little bit hotter, a little bit of a heavy hitter here. 40 IBU, so again, very malty IPA.
Yeah.
But that kind of, I don't want to call it wild yeast strain, but a little bit of a funky yeast is what they use to get kind of that.
Well, yeah, it's not your typical. You can even see the color. Is darker. Yeah. So for you here's my Fort
amber
George.
Ale colored.
Yeah, my Fort George is actually the new 3-way that just came out.
Nice.
So I got the new 3-way. Only 7%.
I've got another can to find now.
But yeah, clear.
Yeah.
And this is a 7%. Look at the color difference.
Yeah. Your beer looks like the Vortex that I just had.
And Fort George,
right.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Fort George,
So yours is, you could see the malt in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that beer. That's a good Imperial. What I also love is they went with the 9.6.
Yeah.
Just because most of your Imperials, like really big, 9.5. Like, no, we're one better.
We're one better. What I hate is when they go Imperial 8%.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I guess.
Yeah. C-.
You pass, I guess.
Yeah.
8.5, 9 is what I'm looking for. 9.5 is like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, and then that what's that WWE meme? 9.6. Oh, the Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I was going with the smell and the money.
Oh, it's the 8%. Like, yeah, that's nice. 8.5. Oh, 9.5. Yeah. 9.6. So
this one goes to 11. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, yes.
That is good. Super interesting. Super interesting. Because full disclosure, I don't like farmhouse ales. And the reason Dead Guy Ale is kind of what it is it's kind of like a multi. It's a Maibach. It's a multi. It's a multi with a little spicy, little bit of a kick to it, and that's because it's a wild yeast strain. I don't want to say this is like a farmhouse ale because it's definitely not. Farmhouses are a completely different malt and hop profile than what IPAs are. This is definitely at its heart an IPA. But it's got this that flavor that usually for farmhouse like sticks on your tongue, that skunky, gosh, how do I explain? Skunky, peppery taste that kind of sticks on the top of your tongue. That taste is in the back of my throat, and I don't hate it.
See, I equated that to more like old school IPAs, school Northwest IPAs of like, oh, we're just throwing dank at you. And before the Citra hop, it was like Willamette and Cascade type thing, and it was piney, it was grassy. The sweetest thing you had was pine and grass notes, and then the rest of it was dirt. Early 2000s IPAs, and then I think there's Citra in that one. And,
I think so. This is a super malty amber ale with an IPA finish that's kind of like lemongrass.
Yeah. I think I even said lemongrass in my like lemony and grassy.
That's what I get from it.
Yeah.
Is but all of that IPA flavor is way back here. It's not a real intense. It's not dank. It's not hoppy. It's not overly grassy or vegetal or anything like that. But what it is, it's a little bit bright, but it's hitting you in a spot of your mouth. Like it's literally here that the bright notes normally don't hit. And I don't know why that is. But it's way in the back. I kind of like it. Like, I'm glad I finally got to try it. This is interesting.
Well, what I really like is they came out with that one and the variety pack, and variety pack shows a lot of different stuff. I almost wish they came out with a new variety pack where they took either the regular Dead Guy or the Pale out and replaced it with that Imperial, because now they have 5 variants, which you can't do that in their 12 packs.
Right.
I guess you could. But I really enjoy the red can Imperial one. I thought it was very nice, very decent, very well balanced for what it is. It is different.
It's very different. Like I said, there's some notes of IPA, but they're way at the back. And they're not all that intense. Like I said, my primary thing is I'm getting like amber ale or brown ale. Like Rogue has a brown nectar ale that
the honey nectar,
they do a honey ale. They do a honey kolsch. They do a brown ale. I think it's literally called brown nectar or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But that's the primary thing. It's a very malt forward beer, and that's what this is. This is extremely malt forward for being an Imperial IPA. But then it kind of just kisses you on the back end with like, by the way, I'm still an IPA. Here's why. Here's that little bit of Citra, a little bit of lemongrass, and a little bit of drying, notes to it. It's good. It's wildly different.
What's funny is I just Googled Rogue Dead Guy IPA, and then there was Reddit beer review. Whose video showed up? It's mine. I was like, I don't care about that.
I'm an authority.
I'm an authority. I was like, I want someone else. Oh yeah, hazelnut. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, hazelnut brown nectar. There it is.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, And Rogue has some phenomenal IPAs. Like, don't get me wrong. Like it's not like they don't know how to make an IPA. They have their number IPA series. They've got a 6 hop, a 7 hop, a 10 hop, a 12 hop. They're freaking amazing for what they are. And I don't even mean that as a qualifier. I mean, like, putting 12 hops into a beer and going, I appreciated all 12 of them. That's masterful. Oh, yeah. That's what I mean by that. It's not like Rogue doesn't know how to make an IPA. It's an IPA, but it's so wildly different from anything else. It's good.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Well, I think especially now with the modern double IPAs, Imperial IPAs that you're getting.
Cool. That's not going to happen again. I'm just going to say, don't you dare freeze on me, you son of a...
Did it?
It did not.
Okay.
You went up and you froze, and I went, don't.
Okay, I didn't have it up. I was like, oh, okay.
All right. So I have unplugged my 100 gig NIC, and I've plugged in my 1 gig NIC. So we are literally running at 1% speed, which means we're more stable now. Right?
Yeah, that's how that works. You know, lower the number, more stable.
Yeah.
Wow, we got through a whole 2 articles, and we've talked more about beer and product.
As it should be.
Yeah, right?
It's my show. I can talk about what I want.
That's a good point.
Wendell! I don't know if it's a driver incompatibility issue. It's a ConnectX 4 100 gig QSFP Plus card. I might see if there's a driver update. I might see if there's something that I can do with it. It really isn't an issue except when I'm live streaming. Like I transfer my raw videos to my server from this PC, and it slings them up at 1.2 gigabytes per second, like without a problem. And I think that's only limited by the read speed of the media that I recorded on. So I don't think it's the NIC. But at this point, the 100 gig is working, or the 100 meg, the 1 gig is working. There we go. So that's all we need. Cool. But we're stable right now, right? Right? And get meme intensifies. So we're stable now, right? So we're stable now, right? I can see your hair blowing, so don't.
Damn
it! So one of the things with my Windows PC is I learned how to navigate a second monitor on a virtual monitor. Because of the Windows different modes for Windows that you could do for tiling. There we go. With Linux, it's kind of a pain in the ass to organize your windows exactly the way you want them, especially if you're not just like maximizing or snapping to one side or the other.
Yeah.
I need 4 windows on my main monitor here, and I found an application to do it, but it's Pop! OS's tiling manager that is installed on here. And it's kind of got a mind of its own sometimes. And it's not pre-configurable with, like, zones. It's not like fancy zones for Windows that you can just snap to one location and go, like, that's where I want that monitor to live, and I want it to be exactly this shape and size every single time. No. But I could also do that on my second invisible screen, because I've only got the one screen here. But then for the maximum quality, I put whoever my guest is on a virtual 1080p display with an HDMI dongle. Well, for some reason, Linux stopped cooperating with that a couple weeks ago. And so now I have you plugged into my 55-inch TV. So you're like giant in front of me. Because I need to be able to navigate that window. So, yeah, I can look up here, and I'm looking at you, and it looks like I'm looking at the camera. Because, like, your eyesight is, like, just above where the camera's at.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I have a very. I think I need to tilt mine down because my head's been kind of up the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first attempt, so I'll get it adjusted. But yeah. It's working.
Yeah, what I found is put your camera like 2 inches above your eye line.
Ah, okay. Oh, that was
what I found. So even if I have a slightly upward gaze, it still looks. If I look slightly up, the camera's still dead in the center.
Okay.
And when I'm looking down, so if I'm like reading an article or something, like I am right here, I've arranged the camera so I've read the article. I'm looking down, but I'm looking at you. I'm having the conversation while I'm talking to you, so I can come back and forth between here, and it feels natural.
Very, very natural. Yeah.
Right. The things you think about, like 7 years into a podcast.
I know. It's always like, hey, yeah, that's a good thing. And that's, us for 2 hours.
Yep. Yeah, I know, totally, right?
Yeah. Just have the mic right here the whole time. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Although now everyone's going to say that's the best audio I've ever had.
No, that was awful. Don't do that again. That was horrible.
Yeah, scoot it just a hair. I tell you what, though, your glass is killing this Fort George.
Right?
You were not kidding with the clearness. It is a whirlwind of bubbles in there.
Yeah, no, and it vortexes while it's doing it too.
Yeah,
like
that's very cool.
So I have a spiral pattern cut on the bottom of my glassware of my conical pint, and it's amazing when you get a crystal clear beer in there, because when you first pour the beer, every beer vortexes. Every beer will do this in orientation with the vortex that I put in, which is freaking awesome. But when you get a clear beer, you get a tornado the entire time. It's so freaking cool. Craftcomputing.store. Get your own mini tornado generator.
There we go.
Yeah, I've also got my my Code Rain glass, which has my logo cut in the bottom of it.
Oh, how's that one work?
It's different. I like it because it's like, oh, Matrix themed, and then computer at the bottom. Like that kind of makes sense. This didn't make sense to cut a spiral in. Neither does the circuit, but I already did that, and so it makes sense in my head. And so I don't know.
Well, that's for the beer.
Right. In other news, Sony making kind of a weird not announcement, but a screenshot on Twitter, which, by the way, this is the first instance I've ever seen that they haven't said X, formerly Twitter. It's the first time someone has referred to X by X and not dead named it. I say dead name the absolute crap out of it until they change it back. It's supposed to be Twitter. Tweeting was a verb.
I will agree with that. What do you say of, like, I'm on X and I tweeted?
I'm on Twitter, and guess what? Everyone still knows what I'm talking about. Not a single person dropped off that conversation. If I say I'm on X, that could be X as a placeholder for a place that I'm speaking of hypothetically. So I was browsing X the other day, and, like, am I talking hypothetically right now, or am I talking about the website X? You don't know, because X is used as a place filler.
It says formerly Twitter.
Where does it say formerly Twitter? According to a screenshot seen on X, Sony is currently in the process.
You gotta go scroll down, and it says first spotted.
First spotted by Brad Lynch on X, formerly Twitter. There we go. There's some context for us.
There you go.
But this is the first time that, like, in a legit, like, and it's probably because they didn't have room in the subtitle, but they didn't call it Twitter. I'm a little disappointed by that. I will only ever dead name one thing, and it's freaking Twitter. I respect you. I respect everything about you. I will call you by whatever name, gender, affiliation, whatever you want to be.
Except Twitter.
Except Twitter. You, Elon Musk. It's Twitter. According to a screenshot seen on Twitter, Sony is in the process of certifying an adapter so the Sony's PlayStation VR 2 can work as a VR headset on the PC.
Is it any
I like how we
good
spent
of
3 minutes on the article not talking about the article. Sony is attempting to apparently certify a device, potentially for Steam VR, to be able to use the PS2 VR, or the PSVR 2, as a VR headset and controller setup for Steam VR. That's it. That's the story. That's all of it. Like that's
it.
They managed to carry out like 6 paragraphs, and that's it. Yeah, the Korean National Radio Research also reported on this that they have been seeing. Here we go. The PlayStation VR2 PC adapter. It has an official Sony part number, which totally looks legit. This is totally the nonsense that Sony would put through for a part name. The CFI ZVP1. Whatever that is. Apparently in March of 2024, started receiving certification from South Korea for use in testing and compliance. Yeah. Sony PlayStation VR may be coming to Valve
PC.
VR?
Okay. I mean, I know heavy VR users are still a thing. It seems to me a lot of VR stuff has been dropping down and going a little bit more toward like what was the Facebook one?
The Quest,
of casual gaming, yes. All inboard because it's free range. Why is it? Why? I guess I don't know. Whatever.
By all accounts, the why. I think we'll start with the why. Why would Sony do this? By all accounts, PlayStation 2 VR is pretty good. It's a pretty good setup. It's a good tethered inside-out setup.
That's it's a tethered camera setup, if I remember correctly.
It's still tethered. And that's the biggest bugaboo right now. VR is one of those things that if you have a phenomenal setup, you have the right PC, you have the right graphics card, you have the right headset, it will change your view of the world around you. Like, VR is that impactful and that amazing. The problem is, a VR headset is like $500, $400 for a PC VR headset today.
Then you need the graphics card and the PC to go with it.
You need a graphics card to drive it. And
for what you're talking about.
And there's that damn cable that's hanging out of the back. And there's those points that you have to put up, the tracking points, to track your hand movement and your physical movement in the space. I've used some of the best VR in the world. I was the first person on YouTube with the Vive Pro with a video. I was the first person to post a video with impressions of the Vive Pro. No one remembers that. I don't even know if it's on YouTube anymore. I may have deleted that video. But I was the first person outside of Intel and HTC that put a Vive Pro on their head and talked about the experience. And it was like 3 minutes at CES. This guy. That was like 2017. Like that was a long time ago.
No, you were into VR when VR started. when VR was in beta, and you're like, "Oh, I'm in. I invest."
John hosted a poker game, and I
threw up. Yep.
You did.
I threw up. I was like, or I didn't throw up, but I was like, I feel sick. Can't do this.
I brought my Oculus Rift Beta 1 to one of John's poker nights. We were playing poker,
Yes.
and I thought it would be a great opportunity to bring my Alienware laptop and
I was gonna say, well, did you bring your Alienware laptop?
and my self-contained VR headset and have them try an out-of-body experience.
Gosh, what's
during a night of heavy drinking?
Yeah, and then you had us play you had 2 games. I think
that's
all you had.
I had the spaceship simulator where you were in a cockpit. And you could fly. I had the joystick, and so you could have the joystick. You could have your hand on the joystick and ground yourself. That's always a very important thing. Here is center. And if your hand is grabbing something and you go, this thing doesn't move, your brain will go, I feel comfortable. I don't know where I'm at in 3D space, but I know where my hand is at. Therefore, I feel comfortable. It's a weird sensation, but that does happen. And so I set up a joystick and in a flight sim game. And so you fly out of the space station, and then you can shoot asteroids and then do dogfighting. And so I showed them what this game was like, and it was just a tech demo. It was so incredibly stupid simple. But I went, here's what it looks like. And so I put on the headset, and they're watching on the monitor, and I'm dogfighting this thing, and I'm looking all around me and whatnot, and I'm taking this down. And then they put on the headset and go, oh god, I'm gonna be sick.
Oh yeah, so we're on this office chair with wheels in a garage, and we're trying to dogfight, and then we're obviously we move and we jerk our heads thinking, oh, we gotta move, and our whole body has to move, and we don't, and then the chair some people would the chair would slip out of us, or we would be still, and it'd be our eyes say we're supposed to be turning, but we're going straight. I feel sick.
Right. So here's the thing about the original Vive, or the original Oculus Rift, was it only had 3 degrees of movement. It had rotation.
Yeah.
Where it locks your head into a 3D space, and then goes, don't move.
Yeah, you couldn't do this, or this.
I can do this. No, I can do this. What I can't do
this
is this.
Yes.
Or this.
Yes. Yeah.
Or any combination where I move my head in any lateral direction. And so demos
when you bank, go ahead.
In the demos, if you're set up and you put your head on the back of the chair and you rotate your head and you keep your head right here, it was perfectly fine. But the second you want to lean into a corner, the second you want to do this or lean forward or lean back, instant vomitorium, because the game doesn't know how to compensate for that. It had no field of reference for how to compensate for that. And so me, with really good VR legs, with the ability to do things like that, I'm like, this is amazing. I'm in an X-Wing. I'm dogfighting a TIE fighter right now. I'm flying into a space station. This is incredible. You guys have to try this. And they got in it, and John literally pulled the headset off and threw up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no, I can't do this. Yep. Well, this was also having a cigar, a couple of beers in me.
A couple?
Well,
I thought it was a great idea because their heads already don't know where they're at, and so they can't be detached from their bodies, right?
Well, that was the problem. We're sitting there, we're 2 hours after poker into this, and we're all just already our heads are doing this.
Right. It was great. So, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, we bank, and we're just oh.
Nope. Body didn't like that.
Didn't like that. This feels weird. VR sucks. Never again.
Yeah. Anyway.
But now step to modern day.
Yeah, I'm an infant to VR. I love VR. I was born into the VR era. I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I tried VR in 1997.
Oh, the old school big one with the there was an 8 or very not pixelated, but square shaped tank game or shooting game.
No, not even that. I had the Enthusiast VR.
Okay.
A friend of mine's older brother had this. He wanted to be a developer, a game developer specifically, and he had, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was a giant CRT that you strapped to your forehead. It was like an 8-inch display that was a CRT that was housed inside of a headset that literally like bolted to your head. Okay? It ran at 640 by 200, like some absurd resolution, where it wasn't square pixels, it was like vertically stretched pixels. And it ran at 28 hertz, like some absurdly low frame rate. It only had rotational tracking, so the same thing that the original Dev 1 suffered from with the Oculus Rift. It suffered from. Oh yeah, no, you're thinking about the one from Hackers. This is a different one entirely.
Yeah.
And it was specifically designed for like cockpit simulation. Okay. So racing games, space simulation games. Descent 2 had a native plugin for it.
Oh, I think I see it. Okay.
It weighed like 12 pounds. Like, it was obscene. Like, you needed a football helmet on it to prevent injury. You needed the thing that could have saved Dale Earnhardt's life in his wreck, but didn't exist yet. You needed a neck brace built in. They didn't care. But I got to play Descent 2 in 640 by 200 resolution at 28 hertz in like 1997. And I was freaking hooked. And I loved the crap out of that. It was like $3,000 was what this thing ran. No, it's still from the same company. A lot of people are close. A lot of people are close.
Oh wait, is this it? This looks like a giant football helmet. Headgear.
Yeah, I don't even know if any pictures exist of it. It's a really obscure piece of technology. Anyway, I was hooked on VR. I love VR. I've loved VR ever since. I've had some really great experiences. I've had some literally vomit-inducing experiences. But I guess the linchpin of this is, why is Sony doing this? Because the PSVR 2 is a pretty good headset in this day and age. I don't think it's quite up to snuff with the premium VR headsets. You've got your Pimax 8K, you've got your Valve Index. I don't think it's there. But it's pretty good. And it has inside-out tracking. It doesn't rely on a PlayStation Eye anymore.
Well, how much is it? Is the question, because...
Oh, PSVR?
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I think it's less than 300.
Okay, that's not horrible.
PSVR 2. 449. That changes my impression.
Yeah, exactly. That's a bit much.
PSVR 2 is a tethered headset. And what I was trying to wrap all this back into, what I was trying to give enough context for, is the thing that has always held VR back is it can't do its own processing. You have to tether it to something. You are a scuba diver in an old-timey dive suit at the bottom of the ocean. You move like that. You walk like that. You talk like that. You look like that. You're an old-timey diver in an iron helmet. And there are wireless solutions out there that are better.
Yeah, well,
are the wireless solutions better fidelity-wise? No. Are they better rendering-wise? No. But you know what? I can have 80% as much fun snorkeling as I can scuba diving.
Yeah, and that's it, really. Everyone is going with the Quest because it is, you're paying $299, I think, something like that, $399 at the most for the high end storage size. And it's wireless. You pop it in a little case. You plug it in anywhere. And you're just like, I just need a Wi-Fi signal and a USB-C charger, and you're good to go.
You don't even need Wi-Fi with the Quest.
You don't even need Wi-Fi, but whatever. But yeah, you're just good to go. And it's bringing more people into the fold of that aspect, and it's showing that is the wave of the future. Yes, it's essentially just a really, really good cell phone in a VR headset.
The Oculus Quest, the Meta Quest, has done for VR what the Steam Deck did for mobile gaming. It's good. I was going to say it's good enough.
You know what? I was actually going to compare it to the Wii. I was going to compare it to the Wii
because that's another fantastic comparison.
It brought it more to masses, where the Wii was able to get like elderly people into gaming, but it wasn't good graphics.
I think we have the same point there. It's good enough.
I think so. It's good enough.
My thoughts on handheld gaming. We could go Steam Deck, but you could even go with the highest of high-end headsets handhelds right now. You could go Ionia Kun, you could go Lenovo Legion 1, you could go, ROG Ally. You can go with whatever the top end of whatever top-end manufacturer is making right now. They're all identical hardware, and what links them is they're all using the 7840U in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
They're all using the exact same chip because that's the one chip that can actually do this job. And that one chip is good enough.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's good enough. There's a qualifier there. Can I play 1080p 60 at high settings with every single game? Oh, no. No, you're lucky with modern games to get 1080p low and be damn grateful for the opportunity of single-digit FPS lows. Or dial it back a couple of years and get 1080 60 with lows of 25. It's not the greatest experience, but it's good enough for 85% of the population. I can take Fallout 4 with me, say less. That's the most zoomery phrase I've ever used on this show. I can play Helldivers 2 on this, say less, fam. Yeah, it runs at 48 FPS, lows in the 20s. Like, yeah, it's totally reasonable. Totally reasonable. And totally acceptable for the device that you're on.
Yeah.
The problem is, it also holds back the industry from expanding on what could be an otherwise phenomenal platform and form factor. And that's where VR's at, even more so. Can you run this experience on a cell phone? And if you're looking at Half-Life Alyx and the answer is no, the industry goes, we'll get to you in 20 years. Half-Life Alyx is literally a life-changing experience. So is Half-Life 2 VR. Even for someone who experienced Half-Life 2 VR in 2016 with the original Oculus DV2, the second beta, with a Razer Hydra strapped to their chest for dimensional tracking and another Razer Hydra in their hands.
What do you think the bigger play or more appealing thing would be? The individual user or the optional being able to play with others? So essentially what I'm trying to get to is my analogy with, like, say, the Wii, where the Wii was very low graphic, but its big sell was you were able to play with a lot of other people. It was sold to the elderly for the Wii Sports. So you had 0 to 4 or 1 to 4 players, where everything VR right now is single player. It's you're in the experience, and people have to watch you, and that is it.
By the way, that's an IPA.
All right, there you go. I know. Look how dark that is. That looked amber brown ale.
Right.
The head's not even white.
Super deep red. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice looking.
That's an IPA.
I'll
explain more in a minute.
But or to that point.
Because I think I know exactly where you're pointing to. Is okay. The Wii was universal accessibility that allowed you to, whether it's in person or whether it was online, game with other people. And it was very paradigm shifting. Because prior to that, we had niche services like Xbox Live. We had and even more niche services of like online gaming of your strategy games, whether they were Dota or StarCraft or whatever. You logged in and you played individual matches, and that was it. It wasn't a community thing where you logged into a server and went, hey, what do we want to play today? Let's all jump into Wii Bowling. And the entire family said, okay.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And so it was a little bit of a different shift, and it was very accessible to basically everyone. Where does
should VR go into the more heavy graphic, realistic, where you're gonna be able to play 1080p 60 hertz individual, or should it stay where it's at, but then maybe focus on here's a console that you could hook up 4 headsets to,
right,
and play in this world, right, with 4 individuals on a single game?
Possibly. The PSVR still doesn't do that. It's one headset per console.
Sure. But I'm saying, do you think maybe they should move toward a console with, instead of a controller, multiple VR headset capable? So you have a console and it streams to each individual VR, but at a lower resolution, a lower rate, or a single use version at a higher rate.
Well, I think that comes back down to the accessibility question of who is this for, and who is this going to appeal to, and who will actually use it. And that's been the biggest thing with VR. As much of an enthusiast as I am of VR, as many headsets as I own, do you know what my daily driver is? It's a Quest 2. Is it the best headset? Is it the best headset? No.
No.
Is it the best experience? No. I own a good number of games on the Quest 2 store, so I can play them locally on the Quest. I can fire it up and I can jump into Beat Saber. I can play Vacation Simulator. My kids go nuts on Job Simulator, Vacation Simulator. It's one of their favorite things to do. Is that the epitome of VR experiences? No. The epitome of VR experiences exists on the PC. It's Boneworks, it's Bone Labs, it's Half-Life Alyx. It's experiences like that. I am blessed enough in this environment where I have an enterprise-grade Wi-Fi 6 access point in my living room with direct line of sight to where I play VR, with a direct 10 gig connection back to my PC with a 4080 Super on it. Which means I have the lowest possible latency of wireless streaming VR to my eyes, with the best possible codec, with the best possible everything. So I can play my Steam VR games untethered with basically no difference from physical tether. The only thing better is a 60 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, which I don't have, which also would change the equation if I turned my head 90 degrees and lost signal, because that's how finicky 60 gigahertz is.
Yeah.
But it's the next best thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, the Quest as an accessible headset isn't capable of those levels of experience.
No, it's not. But it's similar to, say, the Switch. It's portable, and you have all of those AAA titles. You could play on it. It's not the best, but you still can. And for the VR AAA titles, most of them, all the fun ones, Mario Kart obviously doesn't take a lot. Zelda doesn't take a lot. I wish it could be better, but yeah, it's still, and it's portable. It's easy to go. That's why
it's great on my totally legit emulator.
That's why, but you can't take your emulator with you. Well, I guess you could on your.
I can on the handsets.
I was gonna say exactly, but you know what I meant.
One of my favorite memes is finally I get Zelda at 1080p on a handheld. Like, it's amazing.
But that's the amazing part of the Switch is the appeal of the Switch. It's portable. It's this lift and go, and it's still my game that I want to play. It's portable. That is exactly what the Quest does.
Yeah.
Versus the PS4 and the Xbox One.
And it's good enough.
It's good enough.
Is it the best experience? No.
No.
Is it the most accessible that you're most likely to jump in? Even I am not the biggest fan of the Quest 2 as far as overall quality, as far as comfort, as far as usability, as far as field of view, graphics, fidelity, battery life. But even I use it as a daily driver because it is a far better overall experience than hooking up a Pimax 4K or a Pimax 8K and needing sensors in your room and having everything hardlined and needing your gaming PC in that same room with you and basically needing a dedicated environment. I don't know about you, but I have 3 kids, and my living room is not necessarily the most welcoming of walk-around spaces.
Yes,
especially if you're blindfolded.
Yep, I know. I don't think those sensors are gonna see a kid just walk in and be like, "Oh, here's a random object coming in," and then track that into it. It's like, "Oh wait, I guess it was a whole bunch of cameras," but yeah. I don't know. So we really could go on this conversation for a while because it's a very fun conversation. But anything else we want to hit?
I didn't even know this was still a thing.
Now I know what you're talking about.
We're all on board, right?
Yep.
I saw this just a couple of days ago. They gave 1 month notice that they were shutting down, and I went, "You didn't die 20 years ago? What?"
I thought when you posted that, I was like, "Is this a thing still? What is this?"
This is not a meme. This is literally ICQ still existed, and I had no idea.
I had no idea. I only saw it in like, hey, remember the early 2000s and 90s? Right. ICQ. Which messenger did you have? And I was like, wait,
were you an AIM or an ICQ? And I was always ICQ. Like that was always ICQ. Yeah.
No, I was ICQ.
I made a joke not less than 3 months ago when Steve got on, because Steve doesn't really have social media. Like he has Facebook and he has a couple of, but he's not like a publicly accessible social media figure. And so my joke with Steve, ever since he's been on the show, has been, you don't follow Steve. And so I will give like bogus links and excuses or things. Follow Steve to the gates of Valhalla. Like that's how you follow Steve. I did one a couple of weeks ago where I said, follow Steve on ICQ number 42069. Because you gave away your ICQ number, and I went, I'm gonna give Steve an ICQ number that I think is funny because that's hilarious. And then like not less than a week later, I'm reading ICQ is shutting down, and I'm like, well, damn.
Well, then how are you gonna get Steve? Yeah, no,
you can't talk to Steve anymore. I thought it was totally a dead and gone thing from like 15, 20 years ago. And so I made a joke about how Steve's still on ICQ. Apparently I shouldn't have made that joke.
Steve's like, no one's going to be able to see me anymore.
So yeah, after literally almost 30 years, ICQ is shutting down. Apparently, they're migrating over to VK Messenger or VK Workspace. I don't know any of the background of any of this. This is ICQ's homepage, and they literally have a sign-in button, and then an ICQ will stop working, and then you can chat with friends in VK Messenger and VK Workspace. That's it. And then they have a total zoomer over here saying, I set myself a dark theme, battery saving, and it doesn't burn out your eyes at night. 10 out of 10. Thanks. It's the best I've seen in a while. Which is a totally normal response from that generation's parents.
If anyone was around for the ICQ era, the one thing you will remember is uh-oh. Uh-oh. Or the uh-oh. Yeah, that you did a move. Yeah.
I know the tones.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was almost like, the first one was like perfect.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. 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 No, gosh, the chat rooms. It is weird. I don't know another generation like ours that I can pinpoint to the ability of, we grew up with, I can remember no internet, dial-up internet, cable internet, fiber internet, all of the different speeds.
Yep.
All of the different programs going through, having to hang up the phone, hearing the 56K modem buzzing in the background, dialing.
Our generation in particular went from zero communication
to the world,
to literally the world at your fingertips inside of our formative years.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
Right. Yeah. There's all those memes like millennials would never be able to write papers if all they had to use was card catalogs. I learned how to use a card catalog in freaking high school.
Oh,
okay.
Gosh. Yeah. I remember the Dewey Decimal System at the library of like going to things like that. Don't talk to me.
You're not scaring me, okay? But we went from the internet is this weird network of computers to the internet can't be trusted to the internet can allow you and your friends to chat together to literally the internet rules your lives.
Yeah.
We lived in it all. In formative years and adults. I'm from a generation that couldn't fathom not having a landline phone.
Oh, yeah.
I've paid for landline phones because it was expected if I needed a job. To qualify for a car loan, you couldn't have a cell phone. You had to have a landline.
Yeah.
I had to pay for a landline to get eligible for a car loan.
I know. I remember of cell phones were not acceptable on so many applications.
Yeah.
For jobs and things. Yeah, you had to have a landline.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like cell phones were not qualified as standard phone numbers. And it was like, oh, yeah, it's you paid for minutes and not data and whatnot. So it was just, it's weird.
Yep.
We
were the generation that knows the Dewey Decimal System and can T9 text.
Yeah. It's weird. I know what a rotary phone, like, oh, I know how to dial that. And then
we had a rotary phone in my home. Like,
and then
our phone.
I'll see like YouTube videos that get, 3 million views of, here, kids, how does this phone work? And then they just like,
I'll give you 5 minutes to dial a number.
Yeah. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. I know.
And I love that it's the older generation like flexing on the younger generation. It's like, no, that's all you had. That doesn't mean we have to know how to use it.
Yeah.
You know what? I also know how to push start a car and hand crank a Model T. That doesn't mean it's a vital daily skill today.
Yes. Although that did get me into like, oh, I know how to change an alternator and work on the basics of my car.
Do you know how many window regulators I've replaced in my day? And alternators and voltage regulators and
yeah, exactly. They're not hard. I've changed the computer in my my 2010 or 15 SVU mobile SVU. Like I had to change just because like, oh, okay, I'm not afraid to dive into it.
Nope.
So I was like, okay, I can figure this out. I figured so many other things out.
I think more than anything else, if we had to hang our hat on something, we're the generation of problem solvers.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know the absurd, unique projects that exist on the internet that are the result of reverse engineering by millennials? And what I mean by that, we had very specific problems that we needed to overcome because of a lack of technology or the availability of the technology at hand at the day. We have figured out how to get video output from an original Game Boy.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I know what that is.
Someone spent 700 hours of their lives to figure that out. Someone else spent 700 hours of their lives figuring out how to get video out of a Nintendo DS so we could stream that information. Someone else figured out how to do it on a 3DS, on a 3DS XL, on a 3DS, on a new 3DS XL, on everything. There are mods for every bit of hardware that you could ever imagine, simply so we could transmit that hardware to something else.
Yep.
But the Dewey Decimal System scares me. No, we know that shit too.
That's easy. It's so...
I know how to use Dewey Decimals, BBS systems, of which I was an administrator at one point. And now I make my living on YouTube.
Yep.
And I'm not saying we're better for it. I'm saying stop putting us down because of it.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, the problem solvers or the generation of adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we grew up where we were young enough to remember going through kindergarten, middle school, possibly junior high. Here's one piece of technology. We entered into high school and technology ramped up, so we had to learn something new. And then by the time we're out of high school and into adulthood, that new thing had to be something new again. And so there were like 3 to 4 stages we had to learn from. And that made us, we're no longer scared to learn something new. Mm-hmm. And we've kept that idea.
That adaptability.
That adaptability of like, all right. But then we also take that skill set of, oh, I know old stuff. And there's still good stuff in that old stuff. Let me apply it to here, and here, and here. And adaptability. I adapted.
I know how to work on cars that are carbureted, throttle body, and fuel injected. I know how to drive an automatic, a manual, and a hybrid CVT transmission. I know, and I understand the intricacies and the pros and cons of each of those systems.
Exactly.
I know how to drive hybrids versus CVTs versus automatics versus manuals. I own all 3 out in my driveway right now. I've got a V8 truck, a hybrid van, and a V6 manual transmission. I know how to do them all. It's not some weird thing to me because I wanted to do this thing, and so I learned how to do it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You know, so, yeah.
Millennials rise up. Of course, when I was growing up, I was called Gen X, but whatever.
Right. That's the one thing that pisses me off about this.
Suddenly we got lumped in.
I still fight that.
They've never known anything of the old ways.
On everything, every social media platform, and they're like born in this. No, millennials are like 90s and above. That's nine. That to me is a millennial. 90...
What they used to define millennials by was you have no recollection prior to the internet, and it's like I have plenty of recollection prior to the internet. I made it through high school. I made it through high school on 28K dial-up, and in which I could not use any resources from the internet in any high school paper that I did or college paper because it couldn't be trusted. Like, it's not like I had the world at my fingertips all of a sudden. We did have that information, but no one trusted it, so they wouldn't let us use it. But it's not like... It was a little different. It was a transitionary time. And but then all of a sudden we're lumped in with millennials who were like, oh, they're just coddled and they're everything. No.
Actually,
millennials ruined the housing market of in 2008, right?
No, yeah. No.
Yeah, my 21-year-old ass could, ruin the housing market by buying 7 houses. No. That's what happened.
That's the one thing I hate. I know we were never called millennials 10 years ago.
Nope.
And I hate that. I was like, no, don't let me in with that stupid crowd.
I'm closer to the Atari generation than the Super Nintendo generation.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially John, because he got all the hand-me-down Ataris.
Every time I see these old memes of what control, it's the Atari. It's
right.
It's like that's. I remember the Pac-Man. I remember we had the really crappy E.T. game.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, even in high school, my very first car, my Volvo, I had 2 Atari cartridges in it. Because I still had an Atari.
Yep.
So, don't talk to me about you grew up in this generation. No, I had hand-me-downs. I had old things. I remember when the Super Nintendo was announced. I remember getting our first NES. I remember playing video games in DOS. The old big floppy disks. I remember it all.
Yep. We loaded games off 5 1/4, and then this newfangled 3.5 inch.
The hard ones. I met my wife, and she never even saw a black 3.5 inch floppy disk. She all had the acrylic see-through ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I don't know. Those are the fancy new ones. All of mine were black with silver. The silver bottom parts.
Yeah.
Oh, those are sexy. I remember those. Those are good looking. My dad brought those home from the office, those are nice looking versus the big 8-inch ones.
Our computers in middle school were Macintosh LC2s.
I remember
my computers in high school were iMac G3s, the newfangled Steve Jobs rounded jobs.
Yes, I don't remember what it was, but I remember my very first laptop I got from my dad, and it was the size of a briefcase.
Uh-huh.
It was huge, and I couldn't even play Scorched Earth on it. It was too old. Black and white screen, probably I think 6 to 8 inch screen. Oh my gosh, that thing was that was a beast. The battery was probably 15 pounds. So, yeah. Anyways.
Yep.
Right.
R.I.P. ICQ.
There we go. R.I.P.
Yep.
For the last time.
Which, by the way, I'm probably within a half step of that, and I haven't heard that in 20 years.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's really good.
I want someone to compare that. I want someone to snip that clip out and then compare it to the ICQ.
I'd go grab his first one. I think it's
the first one was dynamite.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it too long at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, someone snipped the first one and then compare me. I bet I'm within a half step. Vince says, mine is in higher quality and in HD. Anyway, this has been fun. Episode 336. Talking Heads here on Craft Computing. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Drop this video a like if you thought you liked it. If not, I don't care. Do it anyway. If you like the beer content on this channel, subscribe to Hops and Brews. Link is down in the video description. We do all of the... Sometimes you'll see me over there even, but beer reviews and all the drinking content you can get. And I keep trying to convince John, do more brewing content.
I know. I again, time has been in short. I wanted to do like a whole clean my brew system out. This is how you clean your brew system. Now let's brew a beer. Time.
Hey John, can you do one for me?
I will. You know what? I even have a Piney the Elder recipe.
No. Here's what I want.
Okay, strawberry ale.
I want your tepacha.
Oh, that is... I almost thought about doing... I even have
I want you as a personal
was,
project this summer. I want you to make up a batch of Tapacha. And I want you to film it, and I want you to make a video, and I want it to be dynamite.
All right. I
want you to do it.
You got me.
I want you to do it.
That was good. That was the best.
So good.
That was so good. That was,
and it's gluten free, so my wife can enjoy it.
There you go. All right. Now you kind of.
I want a batch of Tapacha.
All right.
Because I want to show people how good it is. I dunk on your strawberry ale all the time. But I want your Tapacha.
That was good. All right. I'll make that.
Make some Tapacha, film the process, put the 3-4 step video on YouTube, do it, make yourself a dynamite video. We'll link to it. We'll make it a good video.
All right, we'll make it.
And then I get to drink Tapacha. It's a win-win.
All right, it's a win-win. There we go. All right. And we'll put it in a craft computing glass.
There you go.
And watch it go.
Or a hops and brews glass.
There we go. Yeah, if you haven't seen, there is some pretty cool merch there on the store, so check it out.
Craftcomputing.store. Get yourself a pint glass, a coaster, which, by the way, I'm also using your coaster right now.
Oh.
Coasters, whiskey stones, pint glasses, coffee tumblers, all kinds of fun things. Craftcomputing.store. Craftcomputing.store will also link you over to my device store, where you can pick up an Axe Effect temperature sensor of your very own.
I'll use a red arrow on that video too. This is
how you use the red arrow. It's all about the red arrow. It's about the I made this.
I made this. just a brown bottle, and no one's gonna know what it is.
No one's gonna know what it is. They're gonna click on it to find out what you made, and then they're gonna bitch about it. But you know what? They clicked and they watched 9 minutes of the video. That's a win-win.
That's all I needed. That's all I need. I just need at least 30 seconds or to a minute. I'm like, yes, I got it.
So
got them.
So we're late enough in the video, I can probably swear at least once. Every PG video is allowed one F-bomb, right? Here's my F-bomb. So Gearling and Veronica and Radal all told me, do the red arrow YouTuber thing. And I went, I don't want to do the red arrow thing. And finally I did it, and it shot through the moon, went 1 out of 10. So I posted a screenshot where it 1 out of 10. And on YouTube also, you'll get confetti shooting into the air when you get a 1 out of 10. Like, YouTube's really excited for you too. Yeah. I have a screenshot of the confetti shooting through the air, and I said, fuck you and your red arrow.
Yes, perfect.
And I think I commented back to Radal. I said, I hate what you've made me become. PG-13, technically. Well, this is a PG-13 show. It's got drinking in it, but there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So... do it live, yeah. When are you selling stratagens at craftcomputing.store?
What's the strategy?
Don't know.
I don't know. Soon.
Anyway.
Quote unquote. Anyways.
Episode 336. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, we'll see you next week.